Eddie Izzard is returning to the UK stage. The legendary comic brings her own one-woman show. Charles Dickens' Great Expectations is coming to the West End in May. She's going to be playing a total of 19 characters. My goodness. Recently performed the show for 6 weeks on Broadway in New York. Eddie is joining us right now. Good morning, Eddie. How are you?
Eddie. Good morning, Eddie.
Morning, I'm very good. Good to talk to you.
Eddie, 19 characters. I know that you are incredibly talented and you've got this, but wow, that's a lot of different personalities. Wow.
It is a lot of different characters. It's, if anyone's seen my stand-up, I always used to play 1, 2, maybe 3, sometimes 4 characters who were talking to each other. Death Star Canteen was a famous piece that I did where Darth Vader is talking to a woman behind the counter trying to get Penny Arrabbiata, and she's talking about trays and stuff. And that was a classic two-hander that was going on. But most stand-ups don't actually do that. I got this from Richard Pryor. This technique was, I saw Richard Pryor doing it when I was starting stand-up back in the 80s. And the reason I started doing Great Expectations is I'm severely atypically dyslexic. Reading a book really tricky for me. A lot of people in our country and the world will have the similar thing. So I realized I'd never read a work of literature. And then I thought audiobooks, I listened to a lot of audiobooks. Maybe someone would commission me to do an audiobook. So I've done the audiobook of Great Expectations. I did this. It's over 20 hours of book. And it's out there in all its majesty for people to download. But then I thought maybe I can do a performance of it to back up the audiobook. So this is the thing that we adapted into 2 hours with the help of my elder brother. Well, my elder brother did the whole thing, Mark Izzard, and I was going to do it with him, but then I was touring, he raced ahead, and that's what we took. We previewed around the UK, we took it to Broadway, it was off Broadway, and the New Yorkers just gave us rave reviews after rave reviews, so that was wonderful. We want to bring it back to the Garrick Theatre in May.
Eddie, tell me, I think the last time we spoke to you, you're on a mammoth, a remarkable run of marathons daily, you know, and obviously you're doing this now, playing the 19 characters. What is it? I mean, you seriously like testing yourself, don't you?
Well, I think what it is some people they get on the good line, the fast track, and they're good at something, or people think this is the person that's most likely to go forward. And I'm not that kind of person. I'm just some Burke, you know. I'm just some git. And so if I'm trying to get any headlines to make people have a look at things, doing 19 characters is no bad thing, because people go, well, how the hell does that work? And so I will run 32 marathons in 31 days. I will do gigs. I'll do gigs in French, German, and Spanish. It sort of can grab people's attention without being, you know, because, you know, some of us are born the prettiest man or woman in the world, and the rest of us just have to fight and do characterful things and do interesting things. So people say, well, that's very interesting. Let's have a check out on that. So that's how I roll with that.
Yeah. Speaking of endurance, I know you are a big Palace fan. Roy Hodgson's back. How do you feel about that when you heard about that?
Well, I like Roy. I said this when I became associate director, I think it is, I am of Palace. What I want is for Crystal Palace to win every game from now to the end of time. That's all I want. If you think about it, any football fan, any team player fan, that's all they want, is their team to win every single game with a few draws, maybe 1 or 2 draws, but the rest, that's all you want. That's not going to happen. So I don't mind, you know, Patrick, I would have liked him to continue on. We just, you know, we just hit this real tough patch, and it's the Premier League. So we have to just go with the roles. And, and normally it's interesting with Palace. We normally struggle at the beginning. We used to struggle at the beginning half of the season. And then we'd work our way up towards the end of the season. And we had a much better beginning of the season, and now we're struggling. And we were that, you know, like 10, 13 points ahead of relegation. And now we're down to 3 points ahead of relegation. So
scary times.
Wow.
Yeah. Well,
it's tough. It's tough supporting a team, isn't it?
Yeah.
You'll be fine.
Now, listen, we'd love to have you on for a lot longer, but if people wanted to buy tickets and find a way to watch you, so May the 24th to July the 1st, Garrick Theatre for Great Expectations. Is there a website they can go to, somewhere they can find tickets?
EddieIzzard.com will take them to the good place. So difficult to forget that one, but yes, that's it. And yes, it'll be great, because you mentioned 6 weeks. We extended for 3 weeks before we even opened. Wow. The New Yorkers loved it that much, so we did 9 weeks there, and it's really in a good place. The New York, the Wall Street journalist Charles Isherwood, he said, he left the theatre wanting to see more, which he said something a journalist very rarely writes. That was an amazing review. So,
listen, Eddie, thank you. Congratulations on that
Good
as
luck,
well,
Eddie.
because that's really brilliant.
Thanks very much.
We wish you the best of luck. And the best of luck to your team as well, Palace. Fingers crossed for you guys too. We'll speak to you again very, very soon.
talkSPORT Breakfast with Laura Woods, Monday to Wednesday mornings 6 till 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.